Here we are, 2008, Super Bowl 42. The confetti is falling. Eli Manning looking just as surprised as the Patriots fans in the stands, like they just saw a puppy get hit by a steamroller. But these were two Super Bowl teams, and it's the NFL, so any given Sunday, right? Why are people this surprised? What did we miss? Well, dear viewer, to truly understand that, we've got to do what we do on the Isaac Punch channel best.
What we do here is go back.
But before we get into that, I'm going to talk about today's sponsor, Bear Mattress. Bear is a premium fiberglass free mattress that is just designed to help improve the quality of your sleep. I'll say this, as a dad, I have quickly learned how important it is to get a great quality sleep every single night. And my Bear mattress has made an immediate impact in my sleep life as it keeps me cool and comfortable. On top of that, they also ship the mattress directly to your doorstep. And while many may feel uncomfortable with purchasing a mattress online, fret not, because Bear actually has an online quiz that can make sure you're getting paired with the perfect mattress. So if you're like me, who likes a medium firm mattress and sleeping on my back, well great, they have the Bear Elite Hybrid Medium. And that, by the way, is just a cheat code for great sleep. I mean, I have been just out like a light every single night. But once the mattress is shipped to your house, you just have to unwrap it, let it inflate, and before you know it, you are catching Z's on the cloud of your dreams. And it is incredibly easy to set up. Also, not sure that you're gonna 100% love it? Well, guess what? They have an 120 night sleep trial. And once you get out of that sleep trial window, guess what? Your mattress is still covered with a limited lifetime warranty. They also have a payment plan, and as an added bonus, if you go to bearmattress.com/IsaacPunts and use code PUNTS, you're going to get a whopping 40% off your mattress. That's right, bearmattress.com/IsaacPunts with code IsaacPunts for 40% off. And I can guarantee you, you're going to love this mattress. It has been one of the best things that I have used to improve the sleep quality of my life pretty much immediately. It just hugs your curves, it supports your weight so well. So do something nice, take care of your body, take care of your sleep hygiene, and go get a Bear mattress. You'll thank me later, I promise. So to begin, let's take a look at our Cinderella of this story, the 2007 Giants. Now you may ask yourself, who were this team? Were they sleeping giants, no pun intended, that just needed a few pieces from the previous year? No, not really. Well, did they have an explosive offense that just needed a good defensive backing? Also not really. Oh, well then they must be a defensive powerhouse who offense just needed to make some key plays to keep them in the game then. Well, yes, but also no. The Giants, just by every single metric, were not a great team. The year prior, they were just bad, finishing 8-8, sneaking into the wild card round before getting promptly upgraded from a playoff team to a Cancun enjoyer by the Eagles, and then immediately to start the 2007 season, it looked like not much was going to change. I mean, against the Cowboys, they got thrashed as Dallas ran the table on them to the tune of putting up 478 yards and an extra 10 points thanks to the Giants not getting it done in the red zone, having to settle for field goals 3 times. Then, the very next week, Green Bay flew into town to hand them their first of many ass kickings at home as Brett Favre threw for 3 touchdowns and the Packers defense completely stifled the Giants, holding them to just 13 points. So coming off a disappointing season, starting 0-2, giving up 80 points, people felt like the stage was set to be disappointed again. But then, out of nowhere, the Giants began to cook. They went to DC and in a gritty fashion pulled off a win, with their defense stopping the game-tying touchdown on the 1-yard line 4 times in a row, showing that this team, while they may not have anything particularly special in offense and defense, they did have a little something known as grit. And like many say, or maybe just me, when you've got grit, you've got a chance. Next, they had the Eagles come to them, and the defense, probably inspired by the previous week's performance, laid the law, holding them to 3 points before the following week the offense would show up by putting 35 points on the Jets, and my God, the following 2 weeks they just clicked. They'd whoop the Falcons, firing on all cylinders, putting up 31 points and holding the opposition to 10, and then do damn near the same thing to the Niners as they'd win in dominating fashion, picking off Trent Dilfer twice and my God, sacking him 6 times. This defense was really coming to life, and I mean, hey, Manning only threw for 146 yards, but shoot, if that's what you gotta do to win, then so be it, as they finished their miraculous run with another dominating defensive performance, holding the Dolphins to just 10 points while the Giants were only able to score 13, and you know what? A win is a win, even if it was against an 0-7 team. I mean, heck, their 6 wins came against teams with a combined record at this point of 11-33, so despite being 6-2, people were still cautious about any sort of optimism, especially as they came out of their bye week and scored less points against the Cowboys than previously, while America's team dropped a second double-digit win on their head. And the following week, they were only able to put up 16 points on the league's worst defense, having Detroit Lions, and then it seemed like the bottom was finally about to fall out when taking on a not even particularly strong Vikings team, they would get slaughtered in front of their home crowd. Manning threw 3 times as many touchdowns to Vikings defenders as he did his own team, as the Vikings, led by Tarvaris Jackson, put up a grand total of 250 yards of offense, which was all that they needed to slaughter the Giants 41-17. After that performance, people were talking less about if they could go to the Super Bowl and more about if they would even make the playoffs. They would then sneak past a losing record Bears team, beat a losing record Eagles team on closer margins than last time, then taking on a losing record Redskins team would get thumped in a 22-10 showing before the following game winning against an alright Bills team where both quarterbacks would combine for 2 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in a game where Eli would throw for just 111 yards, and now they were sitting at 10-5. They would have their hardest opponent yet, the New England Patriots. And while typically I won't introduce the big bad of the story until the grand finale, we have a unique opportunity where they show up as the rising action. You see, this Patriots team, you could say, is pretty good, but the reality is they might be one of the best overall units to ever step on the football field. We're talking about probably the apex of the Patriots dynasty. Tom Brady absolutely in his prime, and for the first time and pretty much only time in his career, the Patriots had an absolute star of a deep threat in Randy Moss, which, when you're used to throwing receivers that get called scrappy, first in, last out guys, your world completely changes when you get to now throw the ball to arguably one of the greatest receivers to ever play the sport. So while their only chance of failing was Brady and Moss somehow not having great chemistry, we learned pretty quick that the NFL's worst nightmare was coming true. These guys were made for each other. Before the bye week, they were averaging almost 40 points a game, and it wasn't until they played the Colts in week 9 that they even had a game under 30 points. Teams didn't know who to guard. You had to cover Moss deep, Wes Welker shallow, and on top of that, the guy throwing the ball might just be one of the greatest all time at line adjustments. So you'd have to disguise it all, and frankly, it was too much for every single team. And unlike the Giants, they weren't picking on bottom feeders. They stomped the Chargers 38-14, who would go on to win their division. That Colts team were considered to be Super Bowl hopefuls, and they beat them too, while also demolishing the Steelers, who had the league's best defense on the year, and did it with a point to prove as Brady threw for 400 yards on them, and heck, they only had 2 one-score games all season, thanks to the fact that once you got the league's best offense off the field, on came a top 5 prime Bill Belichick defense who was just a death sentence for teams. So this was a team, the clear Super Bowl favorites, coming into the new Meadowlands to take on a very middle of the pack Giants team, and it was a close game. Eli Manning stepped up to the plate, and it was a shootout. In the first half, they'd go back and forth, with the Giants ending the half with a 21-16 lead. Then they'd force a punt, and in the blink of an eye, it was 28-16. But this Tom Brady team was not known for just rolling over and dying. especially when the perfect season was on the line. So they responded, forced a few punts, responded again, and in a must-have drive for the Giants, Manning throws his one pick of the day, allowing the Patriots to get a 10-point lead with under 5 minutes left, and a last-minute touchdown wasn't enough as they didn't recover the onside kick, and the Giants lost 38-35. But this is one of those few losses that feels like the small win, as the Giants showed the most life they had in the back half of the season, as they were prepared to go on the road run of the century, which is time to talk about one of the random strengths the Giants had this year. They were absolute road warriors. Aside from their first game of the season where they got smacked by the Cowboys, the Giants hadn't lost a road game all year, and not just didn't lose, but their most dominating wins came on the road, and their worst losses, like to the Vikings, came at home. A plane ride to this team was like spinach to Popeyes, a stack of ones to a stripper, a T-bone steak to a Rottweiler. It made them do nasty things to teams, so their one saving grace about being this middle of the pack is they're about to have a lot of road games in the playoffs. So the postseason commenced against Tampa, and I don't know how to say it. This Giants team was just better. Eli was not making any mistakes, only 7 incompletions while throwing for 2 touchdowns, and their defense was stifling, holding the Buccaneers to 270 yards while they strolled through the wild card matchup. They'd move on to a team who had bullied them all year as they flew back to Dallas, but once again, the grit I alluded to earlier was showing. Were they playing a style of ball never seen before? No, absolutely not. They'd bend at times, giving up 2 touchdowns in the second quarter, but with 47 seconds left in that half, Eli would drive them 60 yards to tie it up, so they'd go into halftime essentially 0-0. They just wanted to win and wanted to win bad. So after Dallas retook the lead with a field goal, they played the game of attrition, punting, then receiving a punt to set them up at the 37-yard line, and that's all it would take for the Giants to drive in the dagger, retake the lead, and carry that to the end of the game. This team had finally found their identity as a defensive-focused team, with the offense being the role players they needed and riding it out, and now had to take on their second loss of the season in the Packers, as they would take this one down to the mud as well. 3 field goals in the first half and 1 90-yard touchdown from Favre would end the first half 6-10, as the highlights were all punts and field goals, as the Giants were once again just trying to keep it close. They'd find a lead again in the second half, but the Packers would respond immediately, and then the Giants would act in kind before the Packers finally equalize it with a field goal, bringing it 20-20. But then the disaster would strike. The Giants drive, get just outside of the red zone, attempt to kick the go-ahead field goal, and miss. And then they were able to force not 1 but 2 punts before they get it back. Tie ball game just across the 50. They use all of Green Bay's timeouts while driving to the 18-yard line, set up for the game-winning field goal, and miss again. They would now have to survive overtime, but luckily for them, Brett Favre, not known for always making great decisions in overtime, in one play throws the ball to Giants, where they set up Lawrence Tynes' redemption shot from 47, and now the Giants had really made it to the Super Bowl. It was actually happening. It took a little bit of luck, some fabulous defense, and the Giants' road warrior mentality, but now they had to retake on the Patriots, who since their last meeting had only looked better, winning both of their playoffs games where it seemed like they hardly broke a sweat, coasting off a big third quarter against the Jaguars, and the Chargers brought field goals to a touchdown fight as the Patriots got in the box 3 times, which matched favorably to the 4 field goals, where at the very least Tom Brady did not look at all locked in as he threw 3 picks. And honestly, that's what kept the Chargers in the game. But that leads us to the Super Bowl, and immediately we get to see the Giants' new identity. 3 third-down conversions in the opening drive, just moving the ball through the bog of this Patriots defense, as Eli was continuing to play at, compared to his regular season, just a miraculously elite level. He was managing the pocket, accurate throws, checking at the line, but even after all of that, it ends with just a field goal, with the game plan of taking this game down to the wire and keep Brady off the field as much as they could. That was working, as it took almost 10 minutes off the clock, and now they get their chance to see Brady in play 1 fake reverse, Tom gets eaten alive. Oh my goodness, the Road Warriors ate their spinach today. Now, did the Patriots still move the ball? Yes, but just like the Giants, they get to the red zone and look like they're about to get stopped, but the pass interference in the end zone, Patriots ball at the 2, and a couple plays later, it's 7-3. The Giants are on their back foot again, but things would not stay a shootout for very long. A huge Toomer catch set them up in scoring position, but then it finally started to happen. Eli throws a dang good pass, but it's bobbled, tipped, and Patriots ball. This is where things could have spiraled, but instead of that, we get to say something that is going to eventually haunt NFL fans everywhere. And that's that the defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, had a perfect game plan for this situation. He was bringing exuberant amounts of pressure. They come out, they forced the punt, and now they had the game right where they wanted it. Exchanging punts, attrition. Manning wasn't moving the ball, but guess what? Neither was Tom Brady, and suddenly it became a game of trench warfare as they'd end the half with the same score they started it with, 7-3. But the game was far from over. After forcing a punt, a huge penalty gives the ball back to the Patriots, but the Giants defense continued strong, getting the Patriots to a 4th and 13 where they opt to go for it instead of taking the field goal and fail. The Giants stay alive and the attrition continues as they end another quarter with 7-3, with the Giants knowing if they just make it to that 4th, keeping it close, they had a shot to win it, and they had done it time and time again. So when the clock struck midnight, 4th quarter, the Giants defense had already given us a masterclass, holding the best offense we may have ever seen to just 7 points. And in the first play of the 4th, a 50-yard pass, Cinderella was officially in the ballroom. And all of a sudden, Manning was dicing apart this defense, and 3 short plays later, the Giants were back on top. Following drive, the Patriots almost looked desperate. Brady throwing back-to-back incompletions on deep attempts, giving the ball back to the Giants with fate in their hands. They try to run out as much clock as possible before they're forced to punt, but you can only hold Tom Brady to 7 points for so long. So it finally began. 12 plays, 5 minutes, and a 75-yard drive. Tom drives the length of the field, and the Patriots go back up 14-10, leaving the Giants and Eli Manning with just a little over 2.5 minutes to score. And not just that, but a huge tackle on the kickoff meant that he'd have to go 84 yards. But this was the 4th quarter Road Warriors Giants, so they immediately pick up some cushion before the next 2 passes go high, and the 3rd puts them at 4th and a yard, where they're just able to pick it up. Drive continues, but on 3rd and 5 at the 43, Manning would drop back, and immediately the pocket collapses. He's got 2 Patriots on his back. He's being touched from every angle. Somebody call the ambulance. But not for the Giant. He breaks free, he steps back, he launches a wobbly spiral to David Tyree, who had their only touchdown of the night to this point, and he goes up and pins it to his helmet as he comes down. The greatest play of the night, keeping the hopes alive and moving them just outside the red zone, where the game should have ended. Eli gets hit, the fluttering ball slips right through the hand of a Patriots cornerback and almost back into the hands of a Giants player before, a few plays later, he finds Steve Smith for the 12-yard gain when they needed 11, and in the final play, no timeout, the Patriots line up, clearly looking for the killing blow as they bring 7, but Eli finds Burris, who put Hobbs on skates, and the Giants had the lead with 29 seconds left. We're on 4th and 20, Tom Brady looks for Randy Moss, but instead finds the ending to the greatest Cinderella story in NFL history.
The Giants have won the Super Bowl.